single American goes hungry. Questions?
Mr. Leader, good afternoon. As somebody who flies and travels the country often, are you fearful of flying with air traffic control issues and safety issues?
Well, I'm very thankful for our hardworking air traffic controllers and our TSA agents and everyone who has been working hard without pay for a month because Donald Trump and Republicans decided to shut the government down. And we need to do everything possible to reopen the government. We can start by Republicans in the House ending their 5-week vacation and getting back to work. Like, it's extraordinary that Republicans have been on vacation for 5 weeks, cancel votes 5 consecutive weeks. They're getting paid to go camping and hiking and travel to Europe. This is what House Republicans are doing, documented over the last 5 weeks. They're getting paid, and yet they're forcing federal employees to be furloughed without pay or to work. And it has to end. Like, Donald Trump needs to get serious, give permission to Mike Johnson and John Thune to sit down and negotiate with Democrats. That's all it takes.
The personal concern about your own safety when you travel with somebody.
I am very confident in the ability of hard-working air traffic controllers, TSA agents, and others who are continuing to do their jobs with the highest degree of professionalism. Thank you.
Have there been any early conversations with the White House this week about setting anything up with the president after he gets back from Asia? Something next week with you guys?
There haven't been any conversations from the White House. Leader Schumer and I made clear last week we wanted to meet with the president before he jetted off to Asia. And he's found time in Asia to meet with a wide variety of folks pretending to fix problems related to the tariffs that he has created. And he'll be back in the next day or so. He needs to sit down with Democrats. Like, for 29 days, understand, Donald Trump has spent more time talking to Hamas and the Chinese Communist Party than he has in talking to Democrats on Capitol Hill to end the Trump shutdown, reopen the government, find a bipartisan path toward a spending agreement that actually meets the needs of the American people, and address the healthcare crisis that Republicans have created. That's an unacceptable thing to the overwhelming majority of Americans, that this American president, in the middle of a shutdown that he's created, while refusing to address the Republican healthcare crisis, can find the time to talk to Hamas and the Chinese Communist Party, but can't talk to people who represent half the country, including many Republicans in our districts who are being hurt by Republican policies. Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Speaker Johnson this morning said that he's given up on leadership, referring to Leader Schumer and yourself. He called you both irredeemable. He said some things about Mom Donnie being the face of the Democratic Party. What's your reaction to that? Have you spoken to Speaker Johnson, in response to the death threats of last week, or about the shutdown any time in the recent days?
I spoke to him briefly this week, but he had nothing to say about the death threats. And, you know, that's irredeemable. I don't expect to hear anything from Republicans because they've created this situation. Donald Trump pardoned hundreds of violent felons who brutally assaulted police officers, more than 140 or so who were seriously injured, and then released them back into communities across the country. And Mike Johnson and House Republicans and Senate Republicans, they all support that irresponsible act, that un-American act by Donald Trump. So they're irredeemable on a whole host of issues. They certainly are irredeemable, these Republican extremists, when it comes to actually standing up for the American people. Donald Trump and Republicans promised, their core promise last year was to lower the high cost of living. On day one, that's what Republicans said. That's what they communicated to the American people. And we know that Republicans lied, stone cold liars, to the American people when they promised to focus on addressing the high cost of living. Costs are not going down in America, they are going up. Housing costs are up, grocery costs are up, electricity prices are through the roof, childcare costs are up, and now because of Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, we know that premiums, copays, and deductibles for the overwhelming majority of Americans, including but not limited to more than 20 million Americans who receive their Affordable Care Act tax credits, are about to explode. Republicans have done this, and they now refuse to even sit down and address the healthcare crisis that they have visited on the American people.
The conversation was related to the shutdown that you had.
It was a brief conversation. I reiterated our position as it relates to a willingness to sit down to find a bipartisan path forward, that we were going to continue to support our hardworking federal employees who they've been victimizing since January 20th, that we need to reopen the government, and we need to do it now, but we also need to address the Republican healthcare crisis. Our position as Democrats has been clear. We're not going to support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the healthcare of the American people. And by the way, we're not going to allow them to pretend as if they support nutritional assistance to the American people. They just cut $186 billion from SNAP, literally 2 or 3 months ago, in their one big ugly bill. Largest cut to SNAP in American history. The extremists on the other side of the aisle are irredeemable. That's why they're getting ready to go down in flames politically in California, in New Jersey, and in Virginia next Tuesday.
Obviously, you and Leader Schumer have been on the same page when it comes to this government